We in here working. Getting back on the mat. Getting back on the mat. Getting back on the mat. Hey, Conor, getting back on the mat. Stay tuned, baby. Stay tuned.
Terence Crawford seemingly showing interest in a crossover fight, a double fight with Conor McGregor. I don't know what you're thinking, Rudolph. Hey there. You doof? None. Shut your fucking mouth, mate. Now, you guys seen the clip at the beginning of this video. That was a brief clip that leaked online. Terence Crawford basically having a second opinion. Now, Terence Crawford, it was stated that Turki Al-Sheikh wanted to do a 2-fight deal with Terence Crawford and Conor McGregor to have them fight. The pitch, as we understand it, was the first fight would be an MMA fight, and then the second fight would be under boxing rules to try to make it fair. You know, I guess Conor being the A side, he gets his #1 sport, which is MMA, as the, you know, the first dib, and then the second fight would be Terence Crawford's sport, which is boxing. Now, Terence Crawford initially, he responded to that, and Terence Crawford said he really wasn't interested. He says that he wasn't trying to get kicked and kneed and elbowed in the face. He says, I'm a boxer, basically, which is his right. You know, he is a boxer, and that's your discipline. You know, it's like, it's no different than if somebody's a boxer and then they're in Thailand and you tell them to do a Muay Thai fight. I mean, it's just different disciplines of martial arts, right? You know, you don't send somebody who does Kenpo to do Krav Maga or something. You know what I mean? It's just different disciplines. But money talks. We all know that money talks. So at the end of the day, Crawford already turned it down. I don't know if he felt pressure from, you know, feedback or comments or whatnot, but he initially said he don't want to get kicked in the head. He said he respects pretty much what Conor does, but he'll leave that alone. But it's tempting with the money. And then now he's saying that he's getting back on the mat, so maybe he's really considering it, right? And I want to give my thoughts. It's not going to be a long video, but I want to say this. I understand the business and I see what they're trying to do. I don't think it will succeed though, right? Crawford is a great fighter, but I keep telling you, he's a lost leader. And if you don't know what a lost leader is, look it up on Google, right? Great fighter, but they're trying to make him into this marquee name that drives butts in the seats. So I really don't think this will be what they expect it to be. Sure, people will watch because it showcases a great boxer in Terence Crawford and then a personality. It's almost like a train wreck. People rubberneck to see the car accident, right? You just want to see, is there carnage? What are the ambulance and EMTs doing? You know, it's just human nature for people to rubberneck. So the hard part is, if you're doing this, you're gonna have to pay them a pretty penny, I'm assuming, and you got to get people in this current society to pay for it on pay-per-view. And I think Turki, you know, I think he's trying to almost like recreate. He's trying to find his niche, his niche. He's trying to find his lane of like what works. And to be honest, so far, it just seems like most of these Riyadh seasons have been a waste of money, right? Especially the more expensive ones. Crawford, Madrimov, you put the Eminem concert. Eminem's booking fee is probably ridiculous and high. You had all these lights. You had human billboards walking around advertising. You painted the steps. You rented out a soccer stadium. And it was too big for, in my opinion, for what the actual fight was. And then the fights didn't really deliver, right? It didn't really deliver at all. Crawford Madrimov was cool, but it's not something people, it's like an instant classic that I mean, I never went back and rewatched it, but that's just me. So I don't really think, even if Crawford does decide to do this, I don't think it's going to be what they expect it to be, right? And what they're expecting to be is Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor 2.0. And simply put, it's not that. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor did great business together, only behind Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. I believe, he's going to fight, right? That's the second highest grossing fight of all time. It's not going to be anywhere near those type of numbers if I had to take an educated guess and a forecast. I do think this makes Bud look bad as well, because Bud, throughout most of his career, he fought on Top Rank, and they just weren't the names that people wanted to see him fight. He re-signed with Top Rank, then later tried to sue him. And then now, I don't know, I guess he dropped the lawsuit because he spends a lot of time in the Top Rank gym training guys like Keyshawn, and when Shakur was there, stuff like that. So I don't even know if that lawsuit is even active anymore. I would say no, because we haven't heard anything about it. So Terence Crawford, aka Bad Business Bud, as I say on the channel, it's just, it seems weird, because it seems like he's only wanting the big money fights, and he truly feels that he's deserved only that. But you're 37 years old now, you're pushing 40, you're 37 years old, and you're sprouting gray hairs, and you're trying to ride off of mostly the Errol Spence performance, because even the Madrimov performance, I don't think the Madrimov fight was the type, it wasn't a good follow-up to the Errol Spence fight. The Errol Spence fight was a big fight. PBC did it well. They advertised it. You could listen to me or you could listen to Terence Crawford. Crawford claimed that somehow the Madrimov fight feels bigger. I'm not here to discuss feelings. Feelings, nothing more than feeling. Like, I don't care what something feels like. What does the numbers say? The numbers say, and the reports say, they had to give away free tickets to the Madrimov fight. The reports and the numbers say they lost over $10 million on the Madrimov fight, which I said earlier, the Riyadh season, they haven't really performed, right? Even that undisputed game that they're getting behind. I don't know anyone that really has that game. All the fighters that they put in and stuff, I don't know really anyone that has purchased the game and, loves it. I don't see, especially like boxing Twitter people or boxing YouTube, like stands and regulars. I really don't know anyone that has the game, but that's just my opinion. But back to Crawford, I just don't think I don't think this looks great, because Conor McGregor, his last fight was in July of 2021. So again, Turkey, it seems like he's trying to find something, a middle ground and find his big event. But I don't really think this is it. Again, Conor McGregor hasn't fought since the summer of 2021. That was at UFC 264. Just to give you guys an idea of how quickly the UFC moves, he fought last at UFC 264, and before that he was on UFC 257. These were both in 2021, right? So 264 was the last time he fought, July 2021. They're already on UFC like 307, 308 now. So they've done several shows since we've seen Conor McGregor back in the octagon. Furthermore, in that last show, July 2021, Conor McGregor had messed up his leg and suffered a horrific injury and was sitting down in the cage because he couldn't really apply pressure and stand up, right? So the first fight would be MMA, the first fight MMA with a guy who hasn't fought even in his own respective sport in 2021. And then since that point, Conor's had run-ins with the law, certain accusations. I'm not going to get into his whole little spiel. He was supposed to fight Michael Chandler, and the fight kept getting pushed back and not happening, things like that. And then you see Conor McGregor, people are saying he's on coke. People are saying he's drinking and inebriated. He's part owner of the bare knuckle fighting, and he's like yelling and screaming. I don't really know that he's even fight ready. So for me, especially weight wise, what weight would that be at? Because Crawford's a disciplined guy. Looks like he keeps his weight in check. Conor bulked up for the Roadhouse movie. And again, he looks like he's drinking and at parties and yachts and stuff like that. He just doesn't seem like he's in the fighter arc like earlier in his career when he was beating Jose Aldo and Eddie Alvarez. And again, we're entering 2025. This man hasn't fought since 2021. So I'm not really impressed by the Crawford versus McGregor fight. I would watch it just because it's something to watch. But I don't think, even if they do it, I don't think it's going to be what people are expecting. I'd much rather see Crawford not do a crossover fight and fight in MMA and fight Jaron Boots Ennis, right? Fight a Virgil Ortiz even. So that's why I'm saying it looks kind of bad for Crawford, because there are options. There's some options for you, but it seems like Crawford only wants, you know, these big fights, even if they don't make sense, like Canelo Alvarez 2 divisions up. You know, it doesn't really make sense. You want a Conor McGregor, but you're saying Jaron Ennis doesn't make sense. So it's really just a cash grab. And I don't really know what that does. Like Floyd Mayweather, chef's kiss. He's the gold standard, because he went through the pretty boy Floyd stages and he could have just retired then and there. But then he did the Money Mayweather and beat the De La Hoyas, the Ricky Hattons, the Shane Mosleys, the Miguel Cottos, the Robert the Ghost Guerreros, the Canelos, the Pacquiaos, the Maidanas twice, right? Then Berto. He did all of this before he started doing exhibitions. People keep talking about the exhibitions. He never fought Conor McGregor until he had already completed the real task, which was a real illustrious career. Crawford's resume does not stack up like that, like Floyd's 50-0. And he has almost the same amount of fight. He has like 40 something fights, but I'm telling you, it pales in comparison. His best name is Errol Spence post car crash. That's a fact, right? And then I guess Madrimov, who has 10 fights and he had 1 draw, right? Things like that. Those are probably the best names. And then when you start looking at the details of who Crawford fought and where they were at that point, you'll start seeing guys are injured, guys had handicaps, guys had long layoffs, things like that. So you just go from that in the Madrimov performance to Conor McGregor, not really impressed.